Hello, it's Ali here. I am going to do a bit of a different reading at the moment for the Divine Feminine Collective. I'm very tender at the moment, and so I'm going to give you the truth from the feminine heart, the very tired feminine heart. So I tap into the collective energies, and I've been an energy intuitive since I was little. I've started doing this professionally, had psychic opening and started reading tarot in 2020. And I've been on this journey working with the feminine and masculine collectives. You can call it divine union. Consciously on this journey for 5 years, but really activated towards that about 2010, 2011. And so it's been a pretty wild ride, and I'm tired. Usually I tap into the general collective energies. I'm just going to do this differently today because I'm really feeling that I can express better by drawing on my own inner experience right now, as I'm really quite raw and cracked open and feeling into everything that's coming up around the upcoming full moon in Scorpio. And so I've had a battle, 144 as I saw that. I've had a battle within myself over the last couple of days as to whether to continue speaking and continue showing up, or just go inward and go quiet. Because around energies like this, and especially when I'm speaking a lot of truth and moving forward, I get a lot of spiritual attack come through. I get a lot of psychic attack, and there's generally a lot that I have to deal with. So I tend to go inward, but I'm doing it a little bit differently at the moment, and I'm gonna come to you with a reading really raw and a little bit more open. Don't know why, I'm just following my intuition. So I'm going to start this reading with the shadow side. So here's the overall energy at the moment, and I'm in this right now, and I feel that we all are, and I feel very intensely that the masculine collective is deeply in this. There's this deep dive occurring, and a breaking point and a cracking open that we are moving through collectively. And there's like this mirroring occurring. So for me, I'm really struggling with how I've kept quiet, or not spoken up, or withheld truth, or not really stood my ground, stood my ground 333 as I'm speaking this, for fear of this pushback of this shadow side. Okay, but that's a reflection of the shadow side within me and a fear within me. Okay, so this is like tapping into this Pluto energy and the Scorpio energy of actually really looking at the deep dark aspects of that within ourselves, like pulling that inward. And you know, we can blame others for, and we can be angry, and I've been through this past few months. The feminine collective's been moving through this rage, like this uprising where the feminine is just done and angry, and really that sacred rage has been rising, where we've had to shut ourselves down, and for fear of triggering others. And so there's a real mirroring going on at the moment between the feminine and masculine energies, and I feel that it's reached a boiling point. And what I'm kind of tapping into at the moment is the awakening of the the yet to be integrated energies, so the anima and animus, so the masculine energy, the inner masculine within the feminine, which is where that sacred rage comes from, and those boundaries and the fight and wanting to protect ourselves and stand up for ourselves. Like that's that inner masculine protecting you, right? And having those boundaries, and then creating the stability, the containment, holding ourselves as women, as feminine, holding ourselves, creating space for ourselves, right? That's that masculine containment. So that's that inner aspect in the union, bringing into balance the union of that. And what we're seeing is the awakening now of that inner feminine aspect, that the masculine as general collective, okay, this is just general collective, it's not for everybody, these are collective energies, so take it or leave it. But what we're seeing in general is within the masculine, that inner feminine awakening within the masculine, and learning how to actually feel and be in the heart space, and be nurturing, be compassionate, be kind, flow, be in that wild, energy, and feeling the chaos of the emotions rising. And so the cracking open of that, what we've seen is, as that feminine rises, right, and these energies start to kind of balance out, it looks like chaos. It looks like chaos. It looks like separation. One is going to reject the other. We see whatever we disown within ourselves, whatever we have not cultivated within ourselves, we're going to seek from another, right? And so this is where we have codependency as the norm in our society, in relationships, where we say, we've been conditioned to believe that we need the other to be complete, to be whole. And, we've had to go through and explore all of that. And I've explored that in my own relationships, right? Like we have to go through and explore those value systems and those paradigms and way of relating to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And I can tell you now that the exploration of that, for me, has led me to reevaluate a lot of things at the moment. And so there's going to be a deep dive around this, not only for the feminine but the masculine as well, because the masculine energies have been so... I just want to pull a card on this. Show me highest truth, spirit, masculine. Yeah, so masculine energies, they're coming into a new foundation. The Ace of Pentacles coming in, where the masculine energies, so men, masculine, this, and I've spoken about this, right, this patriarchal structure that our society is built on, right, where we have the nuclear family, and men go to work and women stay home and raise the children and take care of the home. So we have the masculine very much programmed in this mindset, and in this capitalist mindset, where it's very rigid and structured, and those belief systems are so deeply ingrained. And as the heat turns up on us financially and in the world at large, what I'm talking about, the situation that we're in now, where this might have worked for us a while ago. I won't go deeply into it because it still was harmful to women. Women couldn't leave, right? Back in the 50s, women couldn't even get a rental or get a job, or, they couldn't do it on their own. It's a different world now. And, back then, one income could support a household and a family. We're in different times now, and women are in a different space now, where women are capable of raising kids, running a home, and bringing in an income, and self-sufficient and independent, and quite happy to be that way. And we still have the masculine collective still stuck in this old paradigm or in this programming where it's like, oh yeah, but my value lies in working outside of the home. And it's very much tied up to those patriarchal belief structures around masculinity and value and capitalism. So very much tied to capitalism. But the thing is, the feminine has shifted through so much and gone through so much growth and development and transformation and coming into creative power and into the heart and into like purpose and mission. This is general, okay? I'm not saying all men and women. There's a lot of men that have already moved through this. There's waves, okay? There's waves of awakening, right? But the thing is, there's a big wave of masculine awakening at the moment, and the breaking down of those belief systems and those structures, right? And what we're seeing now is, and I'm feeling this so deeply, like it's been, you know, a deep dive into how we have been programmed to serve this paradigm and these structures that keep men outside of the home working, no time for creativity, you know, feed this, feed that, feed the system. And women are at home, but we're separate, right? We're separate. And now, because of the situation we find ourselves in with housing crisis and financial, you know, the heat's being turned up financially, women have to work too. But the thing is, not a lot has shifted around the expectations on women. So it's very out of balance, right? It's very out of balance right now. The thing is, the women who, the tired feminine heart, I'm having trouble speaking, like I feel really blocked in my speaking, but I'm going to push through this and I'm going to share this. The tired feminine heart within me that has been through this, has seen through it, knows there is a different way, has broken through it, you know, has done it, created it, and feels like an outcast in this world. It's like when you can see a way out of this paradigm, when you can see a way out and you can see another way, even if the path is not there at the moment, but the vision is there and the knowing is there. When you're activated into that, right, which is what Divine Feminine knows and holds the key, right? When you're activated into that and you know the way, people will reject you. People will be afraid of you. They will want to be in your energy because it's so magnetic and you're so inspiring, right? The feminine who has done the work and knows her worth and knows, you know, that holds a dream in her heart and the ability to create it, right? The feminine who's radiant and, you know, has things running. Empress, right? An empress can do it all. She's abundant in energy, right? And the reason is because she's been through the trials, the challenges that have brought her into a kind of mastery of her energy, right? So her energy's flowing. And the thing is, our abundance and stability comes from our energy and our alignment. And that means being in our heart and in our truth at all times. That means that we feel deeply. It means that we move with our cycles and we go through the periods of shadow work and transformation as they come along. And we're connected. We're deeply connected. And, you know, when our intuition moves us, when our intuition You know, we roll with that. That leaves us as targets, I guess. And the thing is, people will be inspired by us and admire us, but when they get close enough to us and close enough to our lives, they will then be triggered by that same light that they were inspired or activated by. They will then be triggered into that. There's the karma card, yeah? Into breaking themselves out of, they'll be activated by our energy, divine feminine energy. It will activate others to break themselves out of those karmic cycles that we have been breaking through and completing, yeah? And the thing is, when you activate someone in that way, they're going to go through cognitive dissonance. So people in your life, I'm talking to you feminine, if you're feeling me, people in your life, you know, they might be able to stay in your energy, but over time, if they don't go through the healings and you know, the growth and the truth and breaking out of those cycles in the same way that you are continually doing that, eventually it gets to a point where they will resent you and see you in a different light, see you as, oh, you're just, you know, your expectations are too high, or, you know, I want to stay the same. Why can't I have what I want? And so you'll be attacked, or people will leave your life, or you will have no choice but to disconnect from people because they won't allow you the truth, because they can't be in their own truth. So this is the cycle for divine feminine that's coming to an end. This is it's about 15 years. Something about Neptune, I don't know about that, is coming in, but 15 years, there's a 15-year cycle closing out now for divine feminine where, yeah, we've been asked to hold others up. Transformation, see, new beginning, transformation, new beginning, ending and beginning. We've been asked to hold others up without anything in return, without having our own cup filled. And we've been asked to be the stability, the King of Pentacles, for others while not having that returned. And so the feminine is tired. The feminine is tired. You probably feel like you don't even live on the planet. There's fog, there's confusion, there's illusion around this, around the expectation of the feminine. And the reason that there's illusion around it and fog and it's so confusing is because this value system, this patriarchal capitalistic value system does not value reciprocity and equal give and take, and men and women building together in an equal way, because the value is placed disproportionately on a man's ability to provide financially. Not a lot of value is placed on this King of Cups here. So a man who is able to provide emotionally and spiritually. That's a spiritually connected, deeply emotionally balanced, warm, empathic, compassionate, giving. So the King of Cups is that warmth in the masculine and presence and deep connection, spiritual connection. So there's been no value placed on that in this world that we're living in. And, you know, this is where the feminine is at the moment anchored into that truth and spiritual connection, and feeling very alone in that, Where was I going with that? I'm tired. I'm tired. It's heavy. There's a heavy weight. Heavy weight. And the value being placed on, for men, for the masculine, the value being disproportionately placed on his ability to provide financially, on the material world. How strong am I? How, you know, how much do I have physically? How many resources do I have? Do I have, you know, like status? Do I have, you know, the ability to earn, provide? Do I have security? All of those things, right? It's like, that's all shifting now, because all of that comes from all of that now in a quantum energy. And I can attest to that because I know this, I've created it, right? After moving through that paradigm shift and letting go of those energies. That comes from your inner stability. That comes from your energy and your connection to your heart and your connection to the divine and your truth and creativity and your alignment to purpose and mission. And so if we're constantly, you know, busy and just in survival mode, it, like, where that used to work before and we used to be able to, you know, find some kind of status quo and balance or whatever, it's not working anymore. And so I guess what's happening is the separation between masculine and feminine collective energies has widened for a bit. Like, it feels like there's this kind of, like, standing on either side of this big, like, is it a canyon, chasm? What's the word? It's like, yeah, like the masculine and feminine, they're standing on the opposite side and it's widening, like the gap is widening. And what's happening at the moment, what I'm being shown at the moment, is that what the masculine is standing on right now, it's starting to crumble. The platform or whatever he's standing on, that mountain he's standing on, which is his foundation, it's starting to crumble out from underneath him. And the feminine is standing firm over on her solid foundation, right? Which it is, it's solid, right? If that crumbles, she's just going to go, yep, thank you, spirit, take care of that. Something will appear under her. That's what the awakened embodied feminine, that's what feminine energy does. She can even destroy it and create it herself consciously because she chooses to. That's how powerful feminine energy is, when it's healed, awakened, and when you in balance, right? In balance with, you know, masculine, feminine energies. But the masculine over here on his crumbling foundation, he's like freaking out, going, I don't know how to, like, how am I going to get myself out of this? And the feminine is watching from the other side and shouting at him and trying to get him to see that it's okay. Yes, that's got to fall away, but there's more there. You just can't see it. Okay? But he can't hear her. He's not listening to her. He doesn't think that there's this energy, right? This is what I'm being shown. There's this energy where the masculine, he's pissed at her. He's like, yeah, but you've got everything on, like, that's just appeared for you. That can't happen for me. Like, you've just got everything lined up for you, like, all good for you, but now I'm going down and, like, I've got nothing. And he just doesn't realize that the feminine had to access that for herself in this different way of building. And this is the point at which everything starts to crumble, and it's kind of down to the wire, this last minute in the nick of time kind of energy. So yeah, I hope that's made sense to help you to understand. But the feminine on the other side is, as a collective, you know, and as a collective, the feminine is on this other side, the world. Here's the completion. Having, you know, walked the journey and on this security, stability, like it's okay. Yes, okay, my foundation might get rocked sometimes and things might crumble, things might fall out from under me, but I have the ability to create because I'm not tied into this one way where I need someone else, you know, whether that's someone else to like there's not she's not in a space of need. She's in this balanced energy, and although she goes through the fear and, you know, like I wish somebody would come and help me build, she's in this, I can do this on my own. I can do this on my own, and I'm okay here. But she's very lonely in that, and so she's over on this platform feeling this despair and loneliness at watching this masculine so far away but really so close. Like she can't reach out to help him. Even if she did, he would just even if she did, he wouldn't take her hand because he won't come onto her platform anyway, and nor should he. He's got to find a way to, you know, build his own solid foundation. And so she's just watching, and it's a lonely place for the feminine to be. It's frustrating to watch, and it's, you know, saddening as well, because she's sitting with the pain of, you know, everyone who's struck out at her foundation, everyone who's in the past has actually knocked a foundation out from under her or tried to, and she's had to rebuild it again and again and again and again and again. She's tired. This feminine, she's tired, she's lonely, but she has faith, and she's sitting and she knows that there are others sitting on those similarly solid foundations, and the connections, although they're not seen yet, are starting to form, and new pathways are starting to form. And the thing is, as these old foundations crumble from under the masculine, there's this surrender in that. So she just sits. She's just sitting and hoping and praying for the masculine to find his way, find his strength, find his ability, to find something in him that he's never found before. Strength, power, and endurance. So she's looking in a mirror at herself. Strength, power, and endurance. You know, in a different way than just in the physical. Yeah, that's where it's at. She's in this peaceful energy, just sitting, you know. There's harmony, peace, harmony. There's no one scrambling on her rock, on her foundation. There's no one scrambling there. It's just, although it's lonely and, you know, there's not a lot going on, she's peaceful, and, you know, there's balance and harmony there. And so she's just waiting. She's just not so much waiting, just in surrender around, look at these cards, in surrender around, you know, what, how, who will, yeah, who and how that will occur, how the masculine on this crumbling foundation will rise, find his stability. Because the thing is, the world can't be built on feminine energy alone, and it can't be built on masculine energy alone. So the world we live in now is way out of balance because it was built disproportionately on masculine energy and distorted. It's become distorted because of that imbalance. And so, yeah, the feminine's just sitting there knowing that she can't build on her own from her feminine rock, feminine foundation, but at the same time she's not willing to build another world that's imbalanced. So there's the kind of this void space and surrender and faith that the masculine will rise, and these two foundations, solid, secure foundations, come together. Yeah, bridge that gap. Knight. These are archetype cards. So I'm just tapping into the masculine that's scrambling like crazy on this rock while the foundation is crumbling. The Knight. Loyalty, romance, and chivalry, a love of honor. So it's like he's... Well, that's interesting because I've got... in my crown, I've got an activation here. So the light attribute of the Knight is loyalty, romance, and chivalry, a love of honor. So that's that Knight on a white horse energy, the balanced, masculine energy that wants to give, but also the shadow attribute of that is allegiance to a destructive ruler or principle, romantic delusions. And so that's actually really, that's why I had those cards. That's really relevant because here is where the cognitive dissonance is really getting loud for this masculine on this rock with the crumbling foundation. He wants to get to the feminine. He wants to get to the feminine, but he doesn't know how. And so he's like, look, this is where I'm at. I want to bring you this. I want to give you this. I want to be in this because I want to reach you and give you what you need, what you're asking for, what you deserve. But there's this shadow attribute of this energy, and he's trying to find a balance between those because the allegiance to a destructive ruler or principle is those patriarchal value systems, right, which are out of balance, romantic delusions, where most, I'm not going to say most, but there's programming there is deeply ingrained programming in the masculine collective around what it is to give to the feminine, right? And there's this emphasis on giving materially, on providing financially and giving materially. And a lot of men, particularly fathers, will say, I go to work and provide for this family. I work hard because I love you. I love you. This is how I show you love, by providing for you materially, financially, by doing physical things. Yeah. And so that's been programmed. But the thing is, in this, we've got the way that things have been set up in a capitalist society, right? Under patriarchal rule, patriarchal structures, where, we go to work and we go work a 40-hour week away from the home to line a corporation's pockets and get how much an hour for our effort? 40 hours a week. You think about that, right? Like the way that society is set up and the imbalance where, if fathers are away from the home 40 hours a week or 40 plus hours a week and they're exhausted, right? And women are at home, particularly when you've got young children, women are at home working, just as hard, if not harder, probably harder, right? Around the clock. Both are working. If women also have to work outside the home as well, there's there's this exploitation of the feminine in that. there's an exploitation of the masculine and the feminine in that, right? Because the thing is, the masculine is absolutely drained of his energy and life force, and he's got nothing left. And he's got to pay tax and all it, like the way that society is set up is so that this is the matrix, right? This is the allegiance to that structure, right? This is where the foundation, that rock is starting to crumble, because that's all starting to crumble now. And as the masculine comes into this Ace of Pentacles, this new start, new foundation, that's abundant. Like that's abundance, stability, security, no more survival mode. That's solid, right? You feel into the energies that I've just been talking about, the 40-hour working week, and you're just in survival mode, and then at any moment that can be taken from you. You lose your job, or there's a pandemic, or you know, a policy that suddenly says everyone must do this. You know, if it can be taken from you, it's not solid. And that's where, you know, women are starting to really go out on their own and find a different way. So yeah, masculine in this energy or archetype of detective, great powers of observation and intuition, desire to seek out the truth. So yeah, there's a real magnifying glass now on all of that, like putting it all under the microscope and looking at it all and finding what works and what does not, or finding, you know, where things are out of balance, looking at, you know, where our value system has served us or has not served us, so, or is no longer serving us. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. This is a really, really different read. I don't know why it's coming through like this, but it is. I'm just tired. My heart is raw, heavy right now. And the feminine is just sitting in this space of surrender and faith. And so we have to let go and just sit on this rock. And that can be a really uncomfortable place to be. But if there's peace and there's harmony on that rock, really, that's probably the best place to be, because the feminine is no longer jumping onto anyone else's rock, nor is she letting chaos onto her own and allowing anybody to, you know, fire rockets at or jump onto and destabilize her foundation. So the thing is, the masculine who jumps onto the feminine's foundation and destabilizes it, the masculine and the feminine go down. The feminine stays on hers and prays for that masculine, trying to find a way, and gives him the space to work it out. But he's either going to go down on his own foundation, he's either going to go down in the destruction, in the crumbling of what he's built on, metaphorically speaking, or he's going to at the last minute sink or swim, really. So yeah, we see him going down. We see the masculine collective scrambling as they go down. And this is the distorted masculine. This is the wounded man. This is the masculine that is tied to those imbalanced patriarchal structures, that foundation that we've built our world on, the masculines that are on that rock, that are standing on that rock, on that foundation. All their beliefs and thoughts and the way that they operate in the world, okay? They're on that rock. So those rocks are now crumbling. So it's these men are being initiated, really. It's, well, you go down with the rock, or you find within you how to find your own stability, how to find your own stability, how to build your own foundation. Yes, Mother Star, the world, how to co-create. Can't even make it up. There's the Emperor, right? Forged through trial and tribulation, initiated, had to go through the hard lessons and find a way and fight for it. Yeah, fight for it. So this is not a physical, this is a metaphor, right, for our energy and how we operate in our lives, right? Our foundation, our energy within ourselves. The rock is our energetic foundation and how we operate in the world and our connection. So the rock we stand on is co-created, you know, it's co-created with divine energy, right? Where the patriarchal structures, we were disconnected. We've been disconnected. That's why they want us in a 40-hour work week, you know, trading time for money and not having any time or energy to do any of the creative things or be deeply connected or fulfilled. You know, you making someone else's world go around and building for someone else and yeah, being the cogs in these giant machines that just siphon life force out of people. So anyway, I hope whoever has been listening has gotten something out of what I've said. I'm tired. This Empress is tired, but I'm just sitting on my rock. I'm just gonna sit on my rock. And if you're a woman and you're listening and this has made sense to you, stay in your heart, stay in your peace, stay in your stability. And the ones who have learned to listen and open to the infinite possibilities that there are in the quantum world when we're balanced and in our heart and in our creativity and purpose and mission, they're the ones that are going to build these new solid rocks, solid rock, standing on solid rock, standing on sacred ground. There's a song by Goanna, listen to it. It has relevance. I won't go into that right now. I'm hearing it right now. But the ones on those rocks, Two of Cups, partnership, harmony, peace. They'll build together, but they have to be on solid rock, sacred ground. Take care.